the following day. Alexander Vinokourov attacked on the descent into Gap on roads so hot that the tarmac was melting. Armstrong and his Spanish rival Joseba Bellocchi went after him.
Ooh, and he nearly lost his front wheel there going round the corner. A little twitch of the front wheel. He's taking a lot of risks here. He's only leading by 10 seconds. The difficult thing on a day like this is, in fact, the toe, and Bellocchi's near. Bellocchi's gone down. Armstrong's off the road as well. Armstrong, complete control there. He's into the field, but what a great bike rider. He's gone across. This is unbelievable. I've never seen this before. Armstrong went across the field there. He's back on the road at 4 kilometres to go. What great reflexes from the man from Texas. Tyler Hamilton coming along there, touching him on the shoulder. This is unbelievable.
But true, and like a lot of the Lance Armstrong story, full of what-ifs. What if Armstrong had been a metre closer to Bellocchi when he went down? What if the crash had pointed him anywhere other than the entrance to a farmer's field that turned into a handy shortcut? What if he hadn't been such a good bike handler? Joseba Bellocchi was left with a broken femur and a whole different set of what-ifs. He'd been having his best ever tour and was looking like a real danger to Armstrong. A tubular tyre rolling off on the melting tarmac of a fierce alpine summer's day ended his race and left him a lesser rider afterwards. Armstrong survived to stay in contention for the Tour and for greatest Tour moment, as we'll see shortly. The first American to win the Tour was Greg LeMond in 1986, but the American who should have been first was Greg LeMond in 1985, certainly according to LeMond. It would never happen now, but the two main contenders for overall victory rode for the same team, La Vie Claire. Bernard Hinault, the hardest man in a hard man's sport, was going for his 5th Tour win, and when LeMond had the chance and the legs to take time and perhaps the Tour for himself, team manager Paul Kirkley ordered him to wait.
If Hinault was in my place, he would not have waited. That's all I have to say.
That's the truth. That's the difference.
Hinault was in my... I have nothing against Hinault. I want him to win the Tour. I felt that he was in my place at the last climb. Do you want me to punch you in the face?
No.
Get out of here.
The payback for LeMond was that Hinault, having won in 85, would ride for him in 86. Except Hinault's idea of helping was to attack his younger teammate repeatedly, supposedly to toughen him up, as well as shake off the opposition. It was a strange kind of teamwork, but by the time the pair of them reached Alpe d'Huez on stage 18, some sort of Franco-American accommodation had been reached. Hinault towed LeMond up to the Tour's most famous mountaintop finish, and LeMond, realising he'd secured overall victory, was happy for Hinault to become the first Frenchman to win at Alpe d'Huez.
An arm goes round Hinault. What has Greg LeMond said to Bernard? The smile, this is unbelievable. The top of one of the hardest climbs in the Tour de France, and these two men smile. LeMond is making this fall look like a club run now. As they come into the finish, I'm going to ask Cathy LeMond to say something alongside me here. She can tell us what's it like now to see Bernard Hinault and Greg come up the mountain. Cathy?
It's fabulous. I'm glad to see they're such good friends still.
Well, what do you think Greg said to Bernard then?
You win.
You win?
He said, you go ahead, you win, you did everything.
Well, let's wait and see what Cathy LeMond says. Has he told Bernard?
Cross like this, watch. I knew it. All right.
All right, there we are. The first time I've ever seen it. Two men coming up the Tour de France and now do it together.
All right.
The cheers are enormous, and you can hear Cathy shouting, all right. Greg LeMond and Bernard Hinault have won this Tour de France together this year, and that's for sure, even if LeMond is the one wearing the leader's yellow jersey.
One of many great moments in the history of the Alpe, and almost certainly Cathy LeMond's finest moment in the commentary box.
Congratulations, but first of all, you might like to say hello to Cathy. It's been a long time.
Oh, okay.
Hi, honey.
You happy?
Very.
Now this really is a moment, 250th of a second's worth at f5.6 or something similar, from stage 20 of the 1964 Tour de France. On the left is Jacques Anquetil, on the right Ramon Poulidor, although in this picture there barely is any left and right. The two of them are so consumed by their personal rivalry that never mind wanting to win the same race, they both want to occupy the same tyre's width of tarmac. And this isn't a sprint, it's the climb of the Puy de Dôme. There is film footage, but the moment doesn't seem to be on it, and if it was, you'd only want to press pause in any case. It was the decisive showdown of an epic race, and possibly their lives. Anquetil, the great hated champion after a record 5th tour, Poulidor, the people's champion after his first. The two of them half fighting, half supporting each other up the final climb, like a couple of drunks on their way home. Poulidor, the less exhausted of the two, eventually pulled away. He had to. Anquetil led by 56 seconds, and he needed that to take the yellow jersey and a bit more to have a chance of keeping it in the final time trial. In the end, Anquetil came in 42 seconds behind him and kept the race lead by 14 seconds. It was the closest Poulidor ever came to wearing the yellow jersey. He went on to set the Tour record for almost winning, with 3 second places and 5 thirds, and to take up permanent residence in French sporting posterity as the most loved loser of all time. Anquetil was the first man ever to win 5, but he never came back after the damage he suffered in '64. Anquetil died at the age of 53. Poulidor is still a Tour personality. In the greatest photo of the greatest French Tour of all time, they're inseparable. Fabulous picture. Now, I say 1964 was the greatest French tour as if there's any other kind. What I mean is, it'd almost certainly be number 1 in the host broadcasters' version of this show. It's not ours, though. The top 3 are still to come, and they're on the other side of this break. Right, we're into the greatest of the Tour's great moments now, or as George Bush once put it, whatever the French is for creme de la creme. Anyway, just 3 of our top 20 moments left. And who's that at number 3? Because it looks like Roche. It looks like Stephen Roche. Some moments are born great, and some have great commentary shouted over the top of them. Stephen Roche's ride in the 1987 Tour was fabulous on its own, but better with Phil Liggett. Roche had taken the jersey, lost it to Pedro Delgado, and seemed to have lost the Tour on stage 21 to La Plana, when he was dropped by the Spaniard on the final climb, and dropped by the cameras too as he slipped back and apparently out of contention.
Here is the start of the drama of today's stage of the Tour de France. Again, Pedro Delgado has flipped Stephen Roche on the climb. But remember, at one point he had 1.5 minutes, and just who is that rider coming up behind? Because that looks like Roche. That looks like Stephen Roche. It's Stephen Roche who's come over the line. He almost caught Pedro Delgado. I don't believe it. What a finish by Stephen Roche. We never knew he was that close. Stephen Roche has risen to the occasion so well. He almost caught Pedro Delgado on the line. Surely Stephen Roche is now going to win this Tour de France.
First, there was the small question of whether he was going to survive the effort of his astonishing comeback. From 1.5 minutes, he'd lost only 4 seconds on the line and collapsed immediately after crossing it.
This has been some 15 minutes now since Roche finished, but it does appear that at last he is beginning to come round.
Instead of the team hotel, Roche spent the night in hospital. But although he hadn't taken the jersey, he'd certainly saved it.
Had to finish with Delgado, so sometimes you must push yourself over the limit.
The final time trial gave him victory by 40 seconds, half of what he'd clawed back on the climb to La Plana. We've already seen Lance Armstrong in the centenary